Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So I already made one brief quicker video about Alliance Quest Season 9 and Map 8 where I tried to keep it short without giving too much of my opinion, kind of going over the most important things. Now this is going to be longer extended version that might not be for everybody, but it might be interesting for some of you to kind of get more detail on these things. Obviously the announcement is still extremely long. I'm not going to be reading it word for word. And I'm not going to be going over every node and every lane, and I will still be making a separate video on this announcement because there are definitely several things that we do need to discuss. But we're going to go over every single point here, and then we're going to kind of try to get in more detail of it, perhaps offer you a bit more opinion of these things as well. So we'll start with the fact that Map 8 is coming and Season 9 starting in November 2021, so we still have a bit of time. This is how it is going to look like. There are going to be 7 parts in Section 1, 10 parts in Section 2, 8 parts in Section 3, and 2 final bosses. There are going to be 2 final bosses as well. So that's going to be something brand new. This is the way the links are going to work. But first we're going to start talking about these crossfight buffs. Now, I am not overly sold on them, but if anything, I would have been a-okay with the lane killer crossfights. That, you know, everybody gets them and they might be beneficial, and we'll see how well or poorly they work, but I'm fine with that idea. I don't think it was anything necessary. I don't think it's a wise investment of anybody's time when you can just, you know, put a node on, but it's fine. Okay, why not? Try something new out. The boss killer crossfights, however, are a bit different thing, and whilst it is absolutely true that every battle group typically has the set 2, 3, 4 people that most commonly deal with the mini bosses and bosses, the problem really is the fact that this stunts the growth of players. This is fine if you are one of the boss killers. Cool, you're gonna get a new powerful ability there. But if you're not, but you'd like to learn and grow, I think that fundamentally every game's goal should be to get people as excited as possible to play the game modes, to try do new things, to try do better, to try and like be better players and play harder maps and stuff like that. And this is a move that directly undermines that idea. This is a move that says if you are not as good as your teammate, you stay away out of boss fight. Or even for players that are currently progressing in the game. Let's say you're playing map 5 right now, and you're going to the map 6. Right now, there's absolutely nothing stopping you from trying to do a mini boss fight. Yeah, you might not be the boss killer of your battle group, nobody might expect it from you, or nobody might assign you kill this or whatever, but you can go and try. Perhaps you have done very well in your Section 1 and 2, all your champions are alive, you know for a fact that you only need one of your champions for Section 3, and you can throw a champ at the mini-boss, see how you do, learn. Versus the inclusion of these crossfight abilities that will be only available for X amount of players means that people will not be incentivized to learn, to go, to practice, to try. And that is not a great thing. I think it is a critical oversight in this whole idea, and I am quite strongly against it, just because it is a move that prevents you from growing. It might not necessarily prevent you, but it definitely disincentivizes you. Because if there is a boss killer who is going to get a special ability that's going to give him more damage or more power gain or whatever these nodes are, you're going to have worse chance of being successful, and you're going to feel worse off when you go in a mini boss fight. You do 2% damage without this special magical bullet that Kabam's given to some people, and then somebody's going to walk in with these extra abilities and going to like do and solo the entire fight. I don't like it. I don't like this boss killer crossfight ability thing, especially the fact that it's going to be available only to quote-unquote select group or like your best players in the Alliance. I don't think it's going to be good for players' morale. I don't think it's going to be something that encourages people to learn, to push, to play better. And I think it goes in direct opposite direction where they should be going. Right, moving on to these new ones. Well, there are the descriptions of these crossfight abilities. You can get your 300% attack rating Fury, or you can get 100% increased combat power rate and things like that. Beneficial, important things that only few will have access to. And then we have a list of all of these lane killer buffs, which again, I'm not going to dissect in detail. I'm going to leave a link in the video description so you guys can do that. But the new set of theme global buffs, and this is one of the biggest failures they have is that entire announcement, and that is because there is no new set. It's an embarrassment and intellectual fallacy to call it a new set, because it's exactly word for word, point for point, the old set of abilities. Only thing Kabam has done here is they hit Control Replace the word mutant to science, and Control Replace X-Men to Spider-Verse, Symbiotes, or Sinister Six. That's it. They're the old buffs that nobody used before, or more specifically, Map 7 players really didn't use. And here is how delusional the post is. You players seem to like the mutant-themed buffs. That is false. I have made several videos in past proving unequivocally that top map players didn't like these mutant buffs and didn't use them and didn't rely on them. These buffs are fine for map 1 to 5. They are not fine for map 6, 7, and now 8. Because in especially map 7, previously, we had such a specific node requirements that you had like 3, 4, 5 really viable good options for some of the lanes. Like Spider-Verse lane. Venom obviously was perfect because he could bypass like all of the lanes, all of the way, everything else. You're not gonna not bring in Venom because mutants get a vigilance passive or true accuracy passive occasionally, or because you can get some prowess or something like that. You're still gonna bring in a champion that works, and with very specific nodes and requirements on these paths. This whole idea that you can buff one group, one class of champions is just intellectual fallacy. It wasn't viable before with mutants. It will not be viable with science champions either, because the maps are so specific and so restrictive that you have no real choice in the meta but to bring champions that work for the fights and nodes and champions that you are going up against, rather than the champions that you would like to play. This type of thinking works for map 5 because most of the paths are generic. You can bring in any single champion on most of the lanes, and I think the biggest requirements like map 5 is have a bleed immune and have a poison immune or something like that. That's fine. Yeah, you can work with these type of buffs then. You cannot do that in a place where a path has maybe 5 viable solutions. You're going to bring one of those 5 solutions. And therefore, the whole idea to just bolster one specific class or a tiny group of champions is shit. It really is shit. And what makes this feel even shittier is the fact that they haven't actually done any work here. Time and time again, I genuinely do wholeheartedly feel that Kabam is extremely, extremely understaffed, because that is the only thing that would explain things like this. This is not a new set of buffs. They are exactly the old buffs. Word for word. I've done nothing to it. And this is going to go further in the next point as well. But they haven't actually done anything in here, but they are trying to pretend that they have, and they have to include this in an announcement because, you know, it's going to be different, it's going to be science, but it's not. It's the same ones. They haven't made one new node. Look at that, even the bottom one. Say Uncle. They have taken the passive Fury from Cyclops and they have given it to Spider-Man. That's it. And they have the shamelessness to say that this is the new set of themed global buffs. It's not. It's the old set of global buffs that nobody playing map 7 really relied on, or hardly anybody, should I say. And they are closing their eyes. They're pretending that the mutant thing worked and that this is something new that they have done. It's not. And the same idea goes here. They have repurposed mini and final bosses from previous season. That means most of the mini and final bosses are the same old ones. Especially the mini bosses. Map 6, Invisible Woman, Ebony Maw, Vision Arcus. Final boss now is going to be Spider-Man 2099. Map 7, we're going to have Annihilus, Sasquatch, and Magneto. Final boss, Penny Parker. Map 8, and again, this is kind of like just an indicator of, you know, somebody not having the time or the ability to bring a job to an end and running out of time and just saying, nah, it'll be fine. Times like this, you just want to walk up to people who actually okay these things and...
Oh, well.
Larry, what the hell are you doing?
Larry! Larry, you can't just... Oh,
Larry! Oh, are you alright? How did...
Either way. So map 8 is not going to have different mini-bosses. It's going to have just Nimrod in every single variation. However, we will have 2 bosses that we will have to fight every single variation as well. And it's going to be Spider-Man 2099. It's going to be Penny Parker. Now, personally, I was surprised to see this. If I had to guess, I would have guessed it would be like Null and Nimrod or something like that as bosses. But Penny Parker, Spider-Man 2099, fair enough. I personally hate Penny, but, you know, we'll see what happens. Map entry cost. This is another place where Kabam has done a new map. They have done plenty of work. It's not like they haven't. They haven't finished it, but they have done a lot. They have designed a new map with a new idea, new paths, new layouts, new everything. Old, whatever, but... And here, they put the price of it double than map 7 was. So, map entry costs are coming back. Map 7 costs whatever it used to cost. It's 150 tickets per AQ cycle. Map 8 will be costing us 300 tickets per AQ cycle. And this is, again, one of those things that's contradictory to what I believe they should be trying to do right now. They should be trying to get as many people as possible to try it. And it wouldn't be an easy task to begin with, having all these gameplay issues. Having all these issues with the game right now will automatically mean that a lot of people who would have otherwise tried map 8 will not. Because they simply don't want to get shafted by game crashes, by missed parries, by other problems in the game. Game's not in the best shape ever. They should be doing everything they can to make sure that as many people get re-engaged with these new game modes, try out new things. But putting this astronomical entry cost will, by default, again, make the amount of people and alliances that actually try out map 8 so much smaller. I don't expect there to be many alliances at all to actually play map 8, especially initially. Especially considering the cost. 300 Alliance Quest tickets a week is a crap ton. It really is. Especially the way we purchase tickets with like gold, battle chips, loyalty, whatever. Because the more tickets we need to get, the more expensive they are. So it's not that the price is going to be double. The price is going to be more than double. Because when you buy these 100 tickets with gold, you know, first 100 is going to cost you, what, 700,000? When you buy the second 100 tickets, it's going to cost you like 1.2 million, something like that. So the price realistically for map 8 is about triple what it is for map 7. Just because of the fact and the way that we buy these alliance tickets with a system where every other ticket that we purchase is more expensive than the previous one. So the more tickets we purchase, the more each individual ticket had cost. So if you can get 150 tickets total, let's say, for the sake of argument, for 150 sorry, for 1.5 million gold. I don't know if it's accurate or not. Then 300 tickets is going to probably cost not 3 million gold if you can use gold mainly. It's going to cost you like 4.55 million gold. And it is a huge cost. And it is a huge cost. And that alone will definitely make sure that a lot of people who would be able to do map 8 don't. And a lot of people who would be willing to try map 8 don't. So this is one of those things where Kebab has put in so much time designing this. And then they just slap such a huge entry cost to it that many people will never try it. Or will not try it for a really, really, really long time. Which is kind of by definition a waste of effort. It's kind of like if you buy, I don't know, if you build a new car, that's, you know, perfectly adequate car. And you try to sell it for 1 million in a shop. When people can buy, you know, perhaps slightly worse car for I don't know, 5 grand. Nobody's can buy that shit. Or not many people will anyways. So I think they should get rid of Alliance entry cost at all, personally. But if they don't, then I think 300 tickets is way too much. I think it's way too much. I think they could put it to 10 and 20 maybe, reduce the cost of map 7 slightly, and then have 20. That would still be quite expensive, but it would be much more tolerable. But 300 is definitely too much. That means that a lot of people just will never try map 8, or for a very long time. Now we can talk about removing the quorum style method, which is going to be a separate video. That is definitely another huge talking point here. But to kind of like sum it up, I think they're going completely wrong about it, because timing out with Corvus is not what people want to do. Nobody's having fun timing out. You play for 20 seconds, hit pause, stare in the clock for 2.5 minutes, and then you do it again, and then you spend 20 minutes something per fight. Nobody wants to do that. The reason people do that, and the reason people have to do that, is A, the game crashes and the game issues currently are insane. B, the fights are poorly designed, so it's very hard to find counters. And C, you just cannot afford the cost of actually healing up and reviving the champions. And the maps themselves do not encourage you enough not to use Corvus. So I think this is the autocratic, easiest option out of a problem, but this isn't actually sorting out the problem. It's just dealing with the side effects of an issue. This is not addressing underlying causes. I think they should not get rid of this method. I think they should make Alliance Quest engaging, viable, and the game stable enough for people not to have to rely on this. For people to look at Corvus and think, I don't need to do that because I will be fine. They need to add in nodes that let you heal with willpower. They need to add in mini-boss and boss fights that are actually doable without doing these things. And Alliance Quest in itself should not be overly complex, because it's a chore. It's something you do first when you wake up, when you go to bed, and I have talked about this multiple times in the past. Alliance Quest is not Everest type content. Alliance Quest is not Act 7 or Summer of Pain or whatever else. Alliance Quest is a chore. Yes, you have to have base level of difficulty, sure. You have to have interesting interaction, sure. But it should be much similar to Cav EQ, where you have to be able to understand the game, know what you have to do, but also be able to get through the fights quickly enough with some sort of damage attack boost and things like that, rather than treating every fight, every day of Alliance Quest like a huge chore. It's never going to work, because people live their lives, and they cannot give their 100% first thing when they wake up, or before they go to bed, or when they're hiding in bathroom at work, or, you know, when their spouse is looking at them angrily. Alliance Quest can't, should not, and will never be that game mode that encourages people to push past their limits. Yes, you can have complexity in it. Yes, you can have tricky fights, but there has to be a clear, quick way through it. and they don't get it. Now, when it comes to the rewards, first of all, we don't know anything about Glory Store or Honor Rewards, so I'm not going to really go into details. I do hope that they update it before the Season 9 starts. Otherwise, it's just going to be extremely underwhelming. And they are introducing Tier 6 Basics, Tier 3 Alpha Fragments, which I'm quite happy with. And I spoke in previous video that now Tier 5 CC is going to be available to a lot of people that don't even play Map 7, that don't even play Map 6, and that is a great thing. Because Thronebreaker title has been, what's the best way to say, completely overshadowed and overwhelmed by the fact that you need to have a rank 3 6-star, especially initially. And whilst it is true that right now it is easier than ever to get the rank 3 6-star, to get that Tier 5 CC catalyst, and every single passing month it's becoming easier and easier and easier because we have more permanent content, we have more availability and ability to gain these Tier 5 CCs. We still need to do that content, but this is going to mark a very significant change where you don't have to do that much if you play in moderately serious alliance, some map 6, map 7s, map 5s, to start accumulating Tier 5 CC much earlier in your progression than you otherwise would. And I think this is going to help a lot of young and up-and-coming players to have that Tier 5 CC ready for whenever they reach Grandmaster. I think right now still we are in a position where a lot of players have beaten Grandmaster and still don't quite have that Tier 5 CC. I think that is going to be a relic of the past very soon, thanks to changes like this. For instance, that 8% Tier 5 CC that is going from 250th to 500th alliances, it used to be 11 to 20 reward. It used to be 11 to 20 reward. So people will get that much more Tier 5 CC, and it adds up quickly, because if you take it over the course of a month, it's like 24% Tier 5 CC here alone, let alone whatever you earn from either honor rewards or whatever else. And purchase with Glory, if Glory Store is going to get updated or get any other way. 24% of Tier 5 CCs is not nothing over a month, and a couple of months doing it, you're going to get substantial amount, and it's going to make it that much easier for people to become Thronebreaker as they actually reach the Grandmaster, and that is going to mark them becoming Thronebreaker. So I do like that change. On the other side, I absolutely hate the Tier 5 basic fragment cap. Tier 5 basic fragments are the same from 20th place to 1st place, and they haven't really increased at all for pretty much anyone there. And that's a big problem, because Tier 5 basic shortage is a really big issue, and it's going to become a bigger issue the more Tier 5 CC we get. On a personal note, I have like 6 or 7 Tier 5 CC in my inventory, but I have 4 Tier 5 basics, so that means that I can take one champion from rank 2 to rank 3, and that's it. Whereas, if that would not be my bottleneck, I were able to do 5, 6, 7 rank ups, because I have plenty of Tier 2 Alpha, I have plenty of everything else. Tier 5 Basic is what is grinding me down. And significantly increasing Tier 5 CC amount that we are able to acquire without accommodating Tier 5 Basic fragments is just going to significantly exacerbate the already existing catalyst balance problem. And I think somebody is overlooking it, or I think somebody is trying to cash in on Tier 5 basic offers. But we'll see how that happens. Now we have updated Glory, Store Rewards, Map 8, Crystals, all that other stuff. And lastly, jumping on the feedback, overall, not many people are happy right now. I'll be honest, there's a lot of critique coming in for some of the points that I went over, mainly the Corvus thing, and mainly the cost. But there are obviously more issues going into that. So this has been quite a long video. Let me know what you think. The game is definitely going to become a lot different. The game is moving into the next phase of Map 8 is going to be a significant change. Not for everybody initially, but eventually that Map 8 is still going to trickle down to people who do Map 5 right now. Because if you're going to keep playing for another year, you're going to naturally progress to Map 6, Map 7. These changes will eventually affect majority of the people who will keep playing actively. Still, I think when it comes to the entire announcement, it feels incomplete. It feels unfinished, unrefined, feels rushed, and I personally am and want to be excited for map 8, but I'm also extremely worried about the things that I mentioned, about the long-term effects of increased cost of Alliance Quest. Like, even on a personal level, I have plenty of gold, I have, you know, enough resources, but it's not like the gold is shooting up infinitely, insanely. I am managing at large normally to thereabouts maintain the level of gold that I have, maybe slightly increase it by 1-2 million over the month. Now, if I'm going to have to spend 3, 4, 5 extra million, then that means that it is very possible that within the next half a year, I'm going to get down, you know, to no gold, for instance, pending how this entire game economy thing is going to work. So the cost is troublesome. The difficulty level overall, I'm not yet concerned, just because typically that's not in my nature, but there are definitely things that I don't like on a very simple ideological level. The new buffs being science and Spider-Verse characters, things like that. I think it doesn't work. It didn't work with mutants. It's probably not going to work with science champions. I think these boss crossfight abilities is not something the game needs and wants to have, because that will hinder the ability for new players in new maps to learn these fights. And I'm not the biggest fan of most of what I read so far. Not the biggest fan of most of what I read so far. Let me know what you guys think. See you soon. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information